I've been hauling freight across the country for close to 20 years, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that the desert at night plays tricks on you. Long stretches of nothing but black sky, dead land, and a straight road that looks like it's been copy-pasted for 100 miles. You start seeing things, mirages, shadows, movement that isn't there. Normally, I just crank up the radio and keep my eyes forward. But last week, somewhere outside Tonopah, Nevada, I made a mistake. I was already running behind schedule thanks to a way station fiasco back in Reno. Dispatch was on my ass about making up the time. I remembered an old dirt track a buddy of mine once mentioned, cuts through a dry basin, links back up with the highway near Warm Springs. Saves you at least 30 minutes if you know where you're going. I'd never tried it myself, but I figured, hell, I've got GPS, I'll be fine. So around 2 a.m., I took the exit. Asphalt gave way to gravel, then to sand-packed dirt. The road was empty, no headlights for miles, just my rig chewing dust under a moon that looked way too big. The CB was dead quiet, and I remember thinking it was almost too quiet, like the desert was holding its breath. That shortcut was supposed to save me time. Instead, it led me to something I should never have seen. About 15 minutes down that dirt road, I saw them, lights. Not headlights, not a house, not anything that made sense. They shimmered low on the horizon, pulsing, like someone had buried floodlights under the sand and cranked them to full blast. At first, I figured it was some kind of mining operation. Nevada's full of weird projects in the middle of nowhere. But these lights, they shifted. Colors bled into each other in ways my eyes couldn't pin down, red sliding into green, then into some shade I don't even have a name for. Curiosity got the better of me. I slowed the rig and pulled off the dirt road, tires crunching over scrub. The glow grew stronger, seeping through the cracks of the desert floor like it was alive. Then the ground dipped, and that's when I saw it. Half buried in the sand was something massive, metallic, scorched, and wrong. It looked like a plane crash at first, but no plane I'd ever seen. The hull was smooth and curved, with no seams or rivets, just one impossible piece of metal folded in on itself. Part of it was torn open, jagged edges jutting out like teeth. I killed the engine and sat there with my hand on the wheel, heart hammering. The air was buzzing, faint but steady, like standing next to a live power line. Every instinct told me to throw the truck in reverse and get the hell out of there. But I didn't. I grabbed my flashlight, climbed down from the cab, and started walking toward it. The closer I got, the more the air felt thick. Not hot, not cold, just dense, like it was pressing down on me. My flashlight beam skimmed across the torn opening, catching on strange markings etched into the hull. They weren't scratches. They were deliberate. Lines and curves that shifted when I tried to focus on them, like they didn't want to stay still. I should have turned back right there. But you know that feeling when you're staring at something you know you're not supposed to see? That mix of dread and compulsion? That's what pulled me inside. The interior wasn't right. It wasn't laid out like a plane or a ship or even a building. The walls curved and bent in ways that made no sense, angles that looked sharp until you touched them and realized they weren't angles at all. My flashlight flickered, and the glow from those strange lights outside seemed to bleed through the walls, casting everything in a sickly shimmer. The floor wasn't flat either. It pulsed faintly under my boots, like I was standing on muscle instead of metal. And the symbols, they were everywhere. Glowing faintly, crawling along the walls like veins of light. I moved deeper, trying not to breathe too loud, when I heard it. Movement. A faint dragging sound, like something pulling itself across the floor just beyond the next curve of the corridor. I froze, light trembling in my hand. My brain screamed at me to leave, but my feet betrayed me, pulling me closer, slow step by slow step. That's when I realized I wasn't alone in there. I rounded the curve, and my light caught it. At first, my brain refused to register what I was looking at. It was slumped against the wall, half in shadow, skin, or what passed for skin, stretched thin and pale like wax. Its body was long, too long, like someone had pulled it out of proportion. The head was tilted back, eyes huge and black, reflecting my beam with an oily sheen. And then it moved. Not much, just a twitch of its chest, a ragged wheeze like air leaking from a punctured tire. But that was enough to tell me it wasn't a corpse. It was alive. Barely. Its gaze locked on me. And I swear to God, I felt it inside my skull. Not words, not exactly, it was more like my own thoughts suddenly weren't mine anymore. Flashes of panic, pain, a crushing loneliness that wasn't mine but felt just as real. I staggered back, hands scraping the wall. Then it tried to reach for me. One impossibly long arm dragging across the floor, fingers ending in blunt tips that left smears of something dark on the surface. It didn't lunge. It didn't attack. It just reached, like it wanted me closer. Every instinct screamed, don't touch it. But I couldn't move. My legs felt like they were caught in cement. And that's when the ship made a sound. A low, vibrating hum that rose from the floor into my bones. Lights flared along the walls, symbols igniting like a circuit board waking up. The thing's head jerked, its mouth opening in a soundless scream. The ship was waking up. The ship came alive all at once. Walls shook, symbols flared, and something invisible dragged at my body, pulling me deeper inside. The creature convulsed, and in my head I heard one clear thought, run. I tore myself free, scraping against jagged metal, clothes ripping, skin burning. Sirens howled so loud I thought my skull would crack, but my legs carried me to the opening. I collapsed into the sand outside, gasping. Behind me, the ship went silent again, waiting. I stumbled back to my rig, fired the engine, and sped off without looking back. The highway never looked so good. When my rig's tires finally hit pavement again, I damn near cried. I figured once I put miles between me and that thing, I'd calm down. Maybe convince myself it was just exhaustion, maybe a hallucination. Truckers see weird shit all the time. But the feeling never left. The whole cab reeked of metal and ozone, and my skin still tingled like I hadn't fully escaped whatever was pulling at me inside that wreck. I couldn't shake the thought that something had followed me out. That's when I saw the headlights. In the mirror, two black SUVs, keeping a steady distance. No logos, no plates I could make out, just matte black shapes gliding down the road like predators. I slowed down, they slowed down. I sped up, they sped up. No CB chatter. No explanation. Just there. My chest went ice cold. Somehow, some way, they knew. I don't know how long they tailed me. I refused to pull over, refused to stop for gas until my gauge was scraping E. Every mile, I felt those black eyes from the ship burning in my head, whispering warnings I couldn't understand. I shouldn't have gone off the highway. I shouldn't have gotten out of the truck. And I damn sure shouldn't have stepped inside that thing. Because now, every night since, I've seen those same lights in the distance when I drive through the desert. Flickering, pulsing, waiting.